Hi, we are going to run a couple filters. I'll show you how to do some that are maybe considered a little more complicated than our regular, just everyday filters. These are sort of filters that you would probably use for things like overnight price, conditional pricing or promos and fees, and even like automations. So let's dive into it. Of course, to get to filters, you go settings and filters here. She saved in here, but I think what we'll start with is some conditional pricing filters. If you were thinking about doing something like, maybe you have it set up right now, every 8 hours, it's, $200, up to a day, it's this much, and so forth. Those sort of things just aren't needed, any filters for that. So that would just be straight pricing. Let's say that you want to say, okay, I want a customer to have this price Monday through Thursday, and this price on the weekend, and this price if they just keep it overnight, that sort of thing. That would be considered conditional pricing. You would need to build a filter first for each condition, and then you would carry that over to the pricing side. I won't go over to the pricing side too much. Right now, we'll just focus on filters and go from there. I think if you understand the filter, you'll understand the pricing and the promo, everything a lot better. So let's start off with one of those examples. Let's go ahead and do a weekend price. What's nice about the weekend filters is a lot of it is already built for you. So you can say, my weekend is Friday through Sunday, Friday through Monday, Saturday, Sunday. You got all these options. So I'm going to say mine is true weekend. Mine is just Saturday and Sunday. That's what you get this price for. Saturday, Sunday, yes, add. And then it ends on the weekend. So it's only going to apply to leads that start and end on Saturday and Sunday. It's not going to carry over to like if they keep it through Monday. So let's see, lead like in weekend end is Saturday and Sunday. Add. There's really not a lot of times, people will think of other things that need to be added to this to get a special price. But maybe you have like a restriction, like it has to be under 48 hours, something like that. You can add that here too. But that is straightforward, just a straightforward weekend price. They're going to get it for 2 days, and let's say instead of $250 a day, it's going to be $400 for the whole weekend. And you could do that. That would be just straightforward weekend, and then we'll do one also. I'll show you for overnight. I know a lot of people have different rules for overnight. We'll get into that a little bit. So let's do. This is going to be number of nights, and you're going to say, let's do equals 1, because maybe there's a special price for 2 double, overnights. So let's do lead number of nights equals 1. If you wanted to pick up any nights over 1, you can just say, lead number of nights is more than 0. And then that would pick up like night 2, 3, 4, etc. All right, so I'm just doing one that like, hey, if your event ends at 6, but you decide, hey, let's keep this overnight until the next morning, that's going to go the extra overnight fee. And then let's say lead number of nights equals 1. And let's say another thing, this is pretty common too. Let's say, what if your customer wants to keep it until 8 p.m.? Is that going to push them overnight? If it does push them overnight, then maybe you want to add that to the filter too. So let's say end hour, lead end hour is greater than, I'm going to do 7 o'clock at night. We use military hours, so of course that's 1900 hours, but it just uses the first 2 because you couldn't do like 1930 or, so not like 7:30. So lead end hour is greater than 7 p.m. And this is going to be an or. I'll explain that here. And this is going to be a group. So this is what this is saying now. Lead number of nights equals 1. That's the first stipulation, I guess you could say. Okay, if it goes overnight, automatically we're going to add this $50, let's say. Or, I got the or here, if the event ends after 7 p.m., they're going to get this rate. And then another one people like to add is and. Oops, not and. No, I'm going to add that here. And our, let's say you also say is less than, let's say that part of the stipulation for the overnight is they have to end the event by 10 a.m. the next day. So now it's saying lead number of nights equals 1, lead end hour. So if they keep it overnight, the end of the event is done by 10 a.m. Or if the lead end hour is the night before, after 7 p.m., this is going to apply. Now this one you can use this a couple different ways. So we're going to change this to this is going to be a pricing filter, because it's going to go off. You're going to apply this to the actual inventory item or to a promo and fee. So maybe you just want to say, if you want to do something like, you just want $100 on any item that, or any event, you can just set it up as a fee and promos and fees and say, if these if these rules apply, they get $100 total fee on the whole event. Or you can go and say, okay, no, they get completely different pricing. You can add that to the item's pricing. We'll save that in case we need to come back to it. So those are probably just some good examples. We can do another promo one. Something maybe if here's a promo filter. We can also do this under pricing. Or the promos can also go under leads. Let's say start date. Lead start date. Let's say if they rent in the next 60 days. No. I'm thinking book date. Let's say if they book this event in the next 60 days. That's a lot. Let's do next 30 days. If you book in the next 30 days and you rent a I don't know, any bounce house. Just let me see what categories we have here. Obstacle, maybe? I need a rental category and saved on this account. Let me see. Yeah, bounce houses, right? I'm not crazy. Bounce house. Okay. All right. So this is saying if you rent a bounce house and you book it in the next 30 days, you will get, let's say, you'll apply it to a promo, and it'll say you get 10% off, something like that. This is I'm trying to think of an example when you would use this, maybe like a start to summer, you know what I mean? Like, hey, rent your summer item, and you can even do that to like event start date has to be between June and August or something. So we can add that too. Lead start date, and we'll do a fixed range, and it has to be from June 1st to August 31st. Okay. Add. So this is saying the lead book date is in the next 30 days, but your event is this summer and you rent a bounce house. So what you would just do then is you would go to your promos and fee. I'll just show you how to apply it real quick. What did I call that? Oh, I just called it promo. So it's going to use those, and you're going to say you get 10% off. You can make it a dollar amount. You can make it a rental total. I'm just going to do rental total. and then you would do this, you would name it, and you could save it. So that's how you would apply one of those filters to this, to the actual promo, and you would make this a special because you want it just to automatically happen. If they rent under these guidelines, you get the 10% off your total. It'd be that simple. Let's do one more filter. Let's think of one that you would use maybe for an automation. So automation, let's do a revert back status. Status revert. So this can still be a filter type lead. And let's say you want to, maybe your contracted events are considered reserved while you're waiting for them to send in their payment. Well, maybe you don't want them to sit reserved for 2 weeks because, other people may be willing to pay and do that. So let's say that you change your status to contracted, or, customer does, and it sits and they don't pay, they don't sign, they don't become confirmed. You want it to go back to the quoted status to give other people a chance to rent out those items. So let's do that. So status, lead status contains contracted, add. I'm just going to do contracted. Okay. And then status change, I think, is going to be under. You'll see, I look up these things because they're all worded differently and a lot of times different than I expect. So I just look up keywords here. Same thing with the reports. So lead status, and I would say the lead. Let's say that this lead changed to contracted over 2 days ago. So I want to see anybody who's changed over 2 days ago. I want this to be pulled and reverted back to a different status. So lead status contains contract 2 days ago. Anything else? Oh, maybe you want to put something because maybe it didn't move to confirmed yet because they forgot to sign, but you want to make sure that somebody who didn't pay isn't still sitting in contracted. So payment amount equals 0. So contains contracted. Over 2 days ago it changed, and they have not paid yet. So save. Then you would go to your automation. And revert status, or you can name it whatever you want. You make it active. Include anything in. We're going to use that filter. Automation revert status is what I named it. And then set status. And we're going to say, okay, it was contracted. We want to switch it back to this. Let's say, you can do it more than once per lead, like if they keep going to contracted and not paying or not signing and that sort of thing. But normally you'll just do 1 times lead, or if it's a customer thing, once per customer. So 1 time per lead, and then you just save it. So you apply that filter there. All right. I really think that's it for filters. Again, as we've probably said on most of these little videos we've made, if you think it's something else that you just can't quite figure out, let us know and support. Something like this, the best place probably to get in touch with us would be our support email. Because, a lot of these, you'll see as you're going through the filters, there's a lot that you can do on a filter. Some things like you suggest, like, hey, I can't filter by this item, and we let our developers know and they add it right away. So there's probably lots of things that aren't in here, but if you just know the keywords to look for, and it's usually what just comes to your mind, like if you just, like I said, if it's something to do with the rental, you can put rental in here. If it's something to do with the customer. You just put, customer name or whatever in here, and you can find it. But if you have any issues, of course, just let us know. Thank you.